Those of the speak necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on Ysn Live. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. And I have a very special guest with me today. You might know him from the voices of Badger and some other teams this season as well. Matt Morrison joining us, one of our faithful announcers. Matt, hey, thanks for coming aboard today, man.
Hey, no problem, man. Always happy to join you, Anthony.
Brought you on because, man, these Bachelor basketball teams, both of them are rocking right now. A big night for the girls last night. They got the win over Pymatuning Valley in overtime, and that puts them in a spot at the NAC title game to try to win their first in 38 years. Matt, you were there. I'm going to let you talk about this game, talk about this team, 14-game winning streak. From your perspective last night, what do you think this win meant for the Braves last night?
This win meant a lot to them. Like you just said, it was the in 38 years that they haven't won a NAC championship, and I some of those former players were actually there last night. I recognized them. I talked to them. I actually know some of them personally, so it's nice that they came out to see this team, try and accomplish that same feat. It's almost like they're passing off that torch a little bit. But this game last night, I tell you what, it wasn't one single player that didn't show me something. I mean, it was a very team game last night. Katie Grexa was putting everything in to this game. Addison Thompson was in there, Mackenzie Gross, all these girls. They completely showed out, Anthony, and they definitely deserve it. I know they got one more game to go to win the championship, but they proved so much already. The last time they lost was against Ursuline, and I called that game, and Ursuline just showed up, and I think Badger actually learned a lot from that loss and put a lot of what they learned into that game, or from that game, into what they have accomplished this season. Their defensive side, it's very comparable to Ursuline a little bit. They press, I called Ursuline too. They're relentless on that defensive side, and they have speed to show it as well. Hannah Betts, fantastic defensive player. Gabby Miller, another great defensive player. They're averaging at least 20 steals a game, and they had some key ones last night as well. So they've been keeping up on their assignments. They've had a couple problems finishing and transition, like they'd get a steal and, the shots won't go down after the steal. And, I've talked to the coaches about that, and they've been working on that. So they should be getting better at that very soon. I mean, Coach Lavelle Turnage, gotten really close with him, over the past couple years of me calling Badger, and the stuff that he puts into this game is at an advantage for these girls.
You've been around this program a while, like you said, and
yeah,
especially this year. How much did the way last year ended? How much has that been talked about, and how much has that made them hungry for gearing up for a tournament run this year? Because last year, they got knocked out a lot earlier than they thought they would, with Lowville coming in and upsetting them in the tournament.
They haven't talked about that so much, maybe a little bit in the beginning, but they've definitely don't dwell on the past. they put that stuff right in the rear view mirror and said, "Hey, it's a new year. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing and pushing. We've got the team." And guys, I mean, they'll have this team next year too. Grexa will be back next year, so it should be pretty good for
The
the
two
next couple
names
years.
that pop up a ton in your stories are Grexa and Betts. I mean,
Oh my
those 2 have
gosh.
been putting on a show all year. What's so special about them?
It so Katie Graxa just puts everything into it. I mean, you've seen her play. She works up and down the court. She gets rebounds. She tries to put the putbacks in. She gets the ball to who wants it and who needs it, honestly. And Hannah Betts, you know what is amazing about her? She didn't even play last year. And look how good she's doing this year. Just imagine if she did play last year. She took a year off. And I've seen her play volleyball too. She's a monster on the
Mhm.
volleyball court as well. And that translates into this, and they're all talking like a she could go to state and track. She is fast. Unbelievable speed. She's probably one of the fastest people I've seen. Lily Scott's up there too with Ursuline, but Hannah Betts really puts off the speed and her defense is always there. I mean, last night she was on the point guard for PV all night long. I think her name was Painter. All night long, wouldn't let her get past her all night. It's absolutely amazing. I remember uh one play, I forget, it was a couple games ago. She saved the ball out of bounds and it got turned over. She saved it, but it went into the hands of the other team. And by that time that other team went down the court, Betts was already down at the other end of the court. And mind you, she fell out of bounds. She
Right.
got back, got on her horse to get back down. I'm like, where'd she come from? She made a play on the ball too. So they got some speed with Betts, and a great distributor with Grexa. Grexa can drive in the hole. She can get good rebounds and give the ball a second shot to get back into the basket. And you have Brianna Huscroft who can come out and shoot some threes, and Mackenzie Gross can hit a couple big shots as well. And you get another great defender with Gabriella Miller as well. Miller is, I mean, if you watch these games, she's a little undersized, but she doesn't care what her size is. I've seen her taking down, 6 feet defenders, just taking the ball right out of their
Mhm.
hands. Like she doesn't care. Like they play with a chip on their shoulder, definitely.
Now they have a seat in the NAC championships. They still have to win that game for their first league title in 38 years. Gonna be either Wyndham or Chalker heading down the stretch. But Matt, you've said in the matchups with both those teams, Badger has been pretty okay. So they have to feel pretty confident going into that game, whether they play at Wyndham or Chalker.
Yes, I mean, it's different in a championship game, but they
Mhm.
have they just defeated Wyndham, just what was it? When was that game? Monday, I believe.
The days watched
No,
together,
Wednesday.
Matt. And
It's Friday, it was Wednesday. And how
right.
about that? They played back-to-back games, Wednesday and Thursday. So they were exhausted last night from playing back-to-back games and still pulled off that tough, gritty win. That shows you there too. They're ready to play every day. So
Especially with the magnitude that Thursday was, playing Wednesday against Wyndham, but then you go right into Thursday, like you need this win. And Pine Tuning Valley is a very good basketball team. We were talking about it off the air. They have some very good players. They play so physical, and they obviously pushed Badger all the way to overtime.
yes, they did. And this team, I mean, they're only losing 3 seniors. That's gonna be Julia Toth, Addison Thompson, and Mackenzie Gross, who, I mean, that would be some big losses for them. Julia Toth can shoot the ball very well. And, I've talked about Thompson and Mackenzie Gross. And I've said this on the air, but Addison Thompson last year was a starter. And, they brought a couple extra players in, and she actually went up to Coach Lavelle Turnage and said, "Hey, I want to come on. I want to come off the bench, and I want to focus on the game a little bit more from coming
Mhm.
off the bench. She wants to watch the game a little bit and get a feel of it, and then come in. And when she does that, I think it makes her player 10 times better than a lot of players. And
Well,
that takes a lot of courage to go up and say, "Hey, I want to come off the bench." Like
mhm.
that's just amazing. That just puts into this mentality like, "Hey, we don't care where we play. We just want to win. We just want
Right.
to win.
Whatever's best for the team. Just put me where I can
Yeah.
thrive the best.
Yep.
Let's mosey on over to the boys' side because this boys' basketball team in Badger is electric as well. And you said off the air, it's quick. You have to almost bring an inhaler every time you're calling a Badger boys game because they're moving at such a fast pace.
Yeah.
They got the close win over Wyndham on Wednesday. It was finally one of those close games that kind of fell Badgers' way. It feels like all year they've been the ones on the wrong end of a buzzer beater. Finally get a close game to go their way. What kind of things did you see from that?
Definitely a lot of good things. The PV loss and definitely the Fairport loss were both. The Fairport was definitely at the buzzer. PV was, they lost it. They only lost by 1. So this game, it was finally relieving for them, I feel, in a little bit of a way to finally pull off one of those close games. And I think it's gonna hype up the momentum a little bit, especially going in tonight when they go to St. John's, and I'll go with them tonight as well. But I follow this team everywhere. I've seen their ups and their downs. I've been on their bus. Like, this team, when they lose, like, it's like nothing else matters in the world. We lost, and I don't want to talk to anybody. When they win, no, it's vibrant. They're ready to go to the next. So the emotions are high in every one of these games that are played. And I've gotten close with all the players. I go out and talk to them before pregame. How we feeling today? How you doing? I go up to Duncan Moy, go up to Brad Hamilton, go up to Cole Burnett, who's jumped on air with me for girls games. He's a good kid. They're all really good kids. They're all really hard workers. So it was nice to get this close game for them. It was nice for them.
Obviously, they have senior leadership, but I've seen in your stories and in watching the games, there's a couple of young bucks out there that are really putting in some work.
Goodness. Let's talk about them.
Let's do it. Talk about them. Let's go.
Freshman phenoms. My freshman phenoms, I come and talk to them a lot. Preston Durasitano is vibrant. He has something to say about everything, I feel. He's always a part of something. Let's just put it that way. And he had a great game the other night. I think he put up 10 the other night. Lewis Flowers is a great defender. This kid, they're only freshmen, Anthony. So they're going to be, by the time they're seniors, like, they're going to be great. So Lewis Flowers, a great defender. He was actually out. He was sick the other day. So they put in another freshman, Tyler McWilliams, who hit 2 clutch threes. So they got 3 freshmen that are hot-handed. And if it wasn't, I've talked to Upshire. I'm like, he wishes he could play, McWilliams more, but you got 3 freshmen. They gotta play on the JV team too. But they're by next year, all 3 of those freshmen, especially with Brad Hamilton and Cole Burnett leaving, you'll see all those freshmen be in the starting lineup, along with Duncan Moy. So they'll have a great team next year too.
That's a pretty good problem for Coach Upshire to have. I have too many players to fill up a spot, and I can't decide who to play.
Can't decide.
Some coaches are scraping the barrel. Some coaches are scraping the barrel. Like, who can I find down here? And Coach Upshire is like, I can only play 5 at once. What can I do? But we were talking also about Badgers' chances on the boys' side for a NAC title. It gets a little bit more foggy. They have to win outright, but then there's a possibility of a coin toss.
PV. Yeah, if they beat PV, they were talking about a possible coin toss to decide the NAC, and I'm like, oh geez, if it comes down to that, like, why don't we just play an extra quarter or something? Whoever wins, that's who.
Well, I feel like they should have tiebreakers in set, like point differential or something like that, where it'd be like, okay, they tied, but there should be a tiebreaker. It shouldn't just be a coin. That has something to do with how you played on the season.
Yeah,
a coin toss,
a coin flip.
Arbitrary luck.
Yeah.
They pulled something out of the Cincinnati Bengals playbook. Let's just go and have a coin toss to decide the AFC North.
Yeah, that is true.
When you look at this Braves team, though, these close games obviously going to help them in the tournament, right? To draw back on those experiences. win or lose, like they're going to get into some close games in the tournament. Then they know how to play in those close game environments.
Yes. They know what it's like to lose, and they beat Matthews in a close game as well. So
Hmm.
Matthews, another scrappy team, and they lost to Heartland Christian too, who's another
At
scrappy
the buzzer.
10-5 team. But yeah, at the buzzer to hit the corner
I mean, it's
three, and
just been like,
it's it's up and down. Like their feelings are different. I feel that. F but it's just like, come on, man. Like, when they won the other day, I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like, my heart was about to just leap out of my chest. Like, I don't know if you watched the end of that game, but
mhm.
Bryce Gross, who's another great guy, a great defensive player, I got him in one of the interviews. He was actually playing with a broken nose, and he had a
Oh no.
face mask on. Yeah, he got his nose broken at the end of the Heartland Christian game in Cleveland. So, he has to wear a face mask, and he's still going up and getting rebounds, but he can't see down. He just sees right in front of him. So he took like a good 5 steps when he got the inbound to him and to close out the game, and it caught him on the travel. And that put PV in a position with 2 seconds left to just throw that ball up and try and get it in. And for a second, as soon as it left his hands, like, oh my gosh, what if it goes in? And eventually, I'm like, all right, it's going to the right, and I'm like, oh, all right, we escaped. So it really builds their composure a little bit. It's definitely 50-50, whether they're going to win or not in those close games, because they've lost a couple of those close
Mhm.
games and they've won a couple of those close games. But they keep with it. They don't, what no matter what the results are, they try not to dwell on it too much. Just keep moving forward. And that's the best thing for them to do. Especially I think that first loss that they had, they went on that 10-0 streak, and then they had you know, their first loss to PV. And I think that ate at them a little bit, but I think they put that past them, and I think that game might have fooled with their minds a little bit with a couple other games, especially the Matthews game. Even though they won it, I feel like they could have played better in that game, and especially the Fairport game too. The first time they played Fairport, they beat them, I believe, 80-37. And then in this game, I think it just messed with their heads a little bit, but it's back in it's in the back seat. It's about to be kicked out of the car. They're rolling. They're ready to put that gas down and just do the best they can in these remaining games. And they're going to be tough ones. In these final games, you're going to see PV again. You're going to see
Right.
Matthews again, and you're going to see Heartland Christian again. So
And Matthews is
they,
going to be on the road, right?
yeah, they're all going to be
All
on
on
the
the
road.
road. So
Yeah.
all road games, and none of those places are easy places to go and win.
No, especially Matthews. It's small. It's an old school.
Yep.
Eh, I've been in that gym. It's small, and it's gonna be tough in there.
And then the
And you
thing with
got their
Heartland,
hostile crowd too.
I don't know if you've ever been to Heartland, Matt, but the crowd is above you, so it feels like they're right on top of you instead of
Oh,
on the
geez.
floor level. So
So I might be
Heartland can get
making the
on you in
trip
a
there
minute
too.
too.
I might be making that trip too. We'll see what happens, but it's
I think
it's
they
gonna be a
would.
wild end. Tell you that. It's not gonna
It
be a boring end. It's gonna be
no,
wild for
Heartland's
both
never
teams.
boring. When
Gosh,
you think
no.
about it, though, Matt, real quick with Josh Upshire, you've talked with him a lot. Do you think there's any keys that he's singling out of these close games and what they do down the stretch and what he's trying to fine tune before the tournament that they either need to get better at or they've started to get better at?
He's they switched up the offense a couple times. I know he's talked about that, and the consistent thing I've heard from him is rebounding. They got to rebound. They have Cole Burnett in there, but other people have to step up too. That's where Bryce Gross comes in, and Hamilton, when he has to, he goes in there and gets rebounds too. But they have to rebound. They have to get second chance shots. You can't let the other team get second chance shots as well. They get a lot of rebounds where they get beat out on, and
Mhm.
other teams, turn those into pretty big buckets. So that's one of the big things I've heard, rebounding.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, but the Heartland game, The free throw. You hit the free throw,
Free
and
throws too.
all Heartland can do
Yeah.
is tie it, but they missed the one free throw. Heartland gets the rebound, goes down there, and hits the buzzer beater to win the game.
Yeah. I think I won't go too much into that, but like there were some situations where they did things differently, and I believe
Right.
that if they did things in a different way, they would have came out that game. But yes, free throws, uh, they they do need to work on those. I mean, they seem to be good in the middle of the game. You know, all right, they hit a couple free
Right.
throws that are good, but it's in those crutch times that like, oh my god, I really got to make this, and I think it might get into their heads a little bit. So definitely work on free throws as well. Free
Point is,
throws,
as good as
boxing out, and rebounding.
the scary thing is, as good as Badger's been, they still have plenty to improve on. So if they do that, then everyone that's on
Yes.
their schedule better watch out.
Yes. Absolutely. And we
Let's
burned
get to
21
some
minutes.
21 minutes. Let's get to some other finals from last night. It was a big night in girls basketball. A lot of conference pictures on the line, and then a lot of teams really flexing their muscles. And talking about flexing their muscles, Louisville usually in close games. Not last night. They took Akron East down 82-15. Louisville girls finally able to breathe a little bit. They've been in close games all season, and they get one that they're able to relax a little bit and get some reserve players in there down the stretch. 82-15, the final over Akron East. Brookfield bounced back from their loss to
Yeah.
Crestview on Monday. They get the win over LeBray, 62-23. Hey, here's a shocker. Sophia Hook had a big game for Brookfield.
Oh boy. Yeah, Sophia Hook, I mean, I love the way she plays. I haven't caught a lot of Brookfield games. I've been on the Badger assignments
Mhm.
everywhere. So I caught a lot of Brookfield last year and I call them in football. I'm right down the street from them too. I like calling Brookfield another hard fought team, especially the girls. The boys are doing all right this year too. 2,000-point scores with Isaiah Jones and Donovan Pulaski, but this girls team, Sophia Hook, I believe she got to 1,000 too. I
Yeah,
believe.
so how about
I
that? The
think she
class of
did. I'm not sure on
2023
that, but
at
I mean, she's
Brookfield,
tough.
you got 3,000-point scores on the basketball court.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that's
what
crazy.
I love about
So,
Sophia
so go ahead.
Now,
Go
what I
ahead.
love about Sophia is this her ability. Like usually, you're either a shooter or you're a driver. You excel at one or the other. But I've
She's
seen her be
both.
able to drive off the dribble just fine if teams take away the three. But she can also drill the threes from anywhere that she wants to too.
Yes, absolutely. And I was there last year when they lost in the district championship to
Mhm.
Liberty. Uh, it was uh, it was grueling for them, and they lost a couple seniors off that team too. Including Anna Reichert and oh, I forget the other one's name, but I mean they've definitely moved on from that, and they've had a couple of players other than Sophia Hook step up.
Mm.
I mean, uh, the whole team has just been attacking and attacking from this point. So hopefully they can finish off strong. That was a pretty big win last night, though.
To go through their stats, Kaylee Wellman, who averages a double
Edie
double, she
Wellman.
finished with 16 points. You have Sophia
Wellman
Hook,
is Wellman's tall and just can reach up, and
and
she
athletic,
can
man.
bully you in the paint.
She's not one of
She's
those big girls that can't really move that much. Like she's athletic, she can get in there, she's lanky, can run the
yeah,
floor, get the ball, and not have to find a guard on the outlet. I like her game, and she averages a double double for a reason.
yeah,
Sophia Hook had 27 for Brookfield, and then Mackenzie Jumper added 6 for the Warriors
yes. The
as
jumpers,
well.
Maya and Mackenzie Jumper are pretty solid players for this
Right,
girls team.
and then yeah, Katie Logan, and
Katie Logan, yep.
she runs the show offensively with the point. Some other scores for you last night as we go through the rest of the finals. We had United, they're dominant as ever in the EOAC. No one really giving them much of a problem. 60-20. They beat Wellsville. Springfield went to Lowville and got the win 62-39. Matt, I don't know how much you've been able to keep up with the Springfield team at all this year, looking at their
Um,
stats or looking at their
the
scores.
Springfield girls.
Yeah, but I gotta tell you, I think they're one of our best chances to get out of regionals. in
Yeah.
in the Ysn family with them in the Division 4, and they're ranked, I think, third in the state right now in the RPI for Division 4. They're really putting on something special.
Yes, I mean, I've heard some things about them. I haven't got to watch a lot of their broadcasts, but if I have extra time, I definitely will tune into the Springfield girls basketball team. When I called, who was it? I called Mineral Ridge versus Waterloo,
Right.
and Waterloo came in and beat Mineral Ridge. And I was talking to their head coach, Waterloo's head coach, after, and what he was like, we got some tough games coming up, and one of them is Springfield, and he talked a lot about the Springfield team. It's going to be tough to to take them on, and they actually did lose to Springfield. Springfield beat them 48-36, but I've seen I mean 15-2. What else can you say? And about this team, the only losses are to Crestview, who's another really good girls team. And that was the first game of the season as well. And then they lost to Garfield,
Right.
and Garfield's awesome, 16-1. So those are some team. Yeah, if you're gonna lose to those teams, to any team, it's those two right there, Crestview and Garfield. But yeah, Springfield has a pretty good chance, like you said, to get out of that. What'd you say, regional?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be the Maslin Perry Regional. They'll have to
Yeah.
deal with Buckeye Central, of course, which is who they
Yeah.
lost to last year in the regional semis. But I think they're a lot more physical this year. I think the development of Jamaica Brungard is really giving them an extra thing to their game. Speaking of
Brungard.
Jamaica
Yeah, you
Brungard,
know it.
she had 16 points last night. Casey
The
Mullen
whole
had 22, and Maddie
the whole
Lesnack, sorry, had 7.
the
So
whole Brungard family is athletic. It's a gift. I've talked to I mean, I can't wait till Bo Brungard starts at YSU at quarterback. I've talked to him after a couple YSU practices. So like they really got a good family. Um
And then
so
Balin Brungard's really good at volleyball. So they got
Or
Brungards all over the place.
Brungards everywhere.
It's like a tree. It's like a Brungard
It
tree down
is.
in
It
Springfield.
is. Their dad was Mark Brungard, YSU football.
He planted a seed in the
Yeah,
yard of Springfield local, and it just
yeah.
grew a tree. They're just like, there's one,
There's this
there's one,
huge tree
there's
in
one.
Middletown, I bet. In Middletown, that's called the Tree of Brungard. It's probably huge.
Hey, you know what? One's about to graduate. We better go grab another one real quick.
Yeah, yeah. We'll go pick. It's just like picking apples off the tree. Yeah.
Southern gets the win last night in the EOAC. They beat East Palestine 56-21. They stay in second place in the conference. The South Range girls let out some frustration on Niles as they win 55-15. It was Taylor McClish that led them with 13 and McCunningham at 11 for the Raiders. Crestview got a defensive battle, but a win from Newton Falls, 39-23. Rebels on top of that one. Lisbon was this is actually a really good game with Latonia. Latonia put up one of their best offensive performances of the season, but it wasn't enough to beat the Blue Devils. 53-44, Lisbon gets the win over Latonia. That Waterloo girls team that you brought up earlier, they get the win over Sebring, 60-11. And all three of their big stars had big nights with Rose Couch, Kara English, and Abby Mazer.
Yes, Rose Coutts a very very aggressive type of player. Like she won't score a lot. I mean she didn't score a lot in the game I saw, but she gets rebounds, she steals the ball, she passes it, she gets it off. She distributes
She's
it.
smart, man.
Oh gosh.
Dude, she's a smart basketball player.
She's got a great basketball IQ.
That's one of the reasons why they went to districts last year and they won the MVAC Scarlet tier last year.
Yep.
Garfield gets the win over Liberty, 59-22. Freshman Mandy Cardinal led the way with 21 points for the G-men. She's a big candidate for Freshman of the Year, I have to say, on the girls' side.
Yes. Yes, I've heard a lot about her as well for, Garfield. She's just one of the few pieces that make this Garfield team pretty darn good.
It's a three-headed monster with her, Laura McCoy, and Madeline Shirkey, all
Yeah.
averaging double figures on the offensive side. We talked about the Badger game. Final score in overtime over Pymatuning Valley was 41-37. Badger gets the win. Lakeview scores 18 fourth quarter points to beat Hubbard 29-27. A good game in the NE8 there. And this is the one that mattered the most in the conference of the NE8, though, Matt. Struthers versus Gerard. Gerard was
Yes.
one game back. Struthers was tied for first with Poland. So obviously, Struthers needed to win this game to set up a big matchup with Poland. Gerard needed to win it and then hope that Struthers was able to beat Poland to force that three-way tie in the NE8. But it was an offensive gun show, 74-63. Struthers gets the win. Chloe Nieder, 36 points for the Wildcats.
Wow. That's something. 38?
36.
36. Wow.
She wasn't the only one. Emma Morris had 23. And then Caitlin Kimball had 19 for the Wildcats as well. Gerard was led by Sage the Triplet with 23. Allie Durkin had 18. So both teams' offenses were putting up a lot of points, and Struthers has had a little bit more firepower down the stretch.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the Struthers team, I mean, this whole game was great. Gerard Struthers have been playing each other for years. Like that's always been a great contest in any sport, football, basketball, even baseball, I bet. But I mean, Struthers, I think it was maybe I forget which season, but they're always there. They're always at that little peak, and sometimes it's just not enough to be pushed over. And I think we're finally going to see that.
So now it comes down to the game on Monday. Poland versus Struthers in the field house. They both have one loss in the NE8. We can't officially call it an NE8 championship because they both have a couple of cleanup games after that. But it's a de facto one. It's one of those ones that we think, if everything goes the way we expect, they'll go out the rest of their season and win the rest of the conference games they have on their schedule. This is the big one. Struthers versus Poland, both with one loss in the NE8. The last time these two teams played, Poland won by 1 on free throws.
Oof.
Sarah Forsyth went to the free throw line and hit a pair of free throws to give them the win. So Struthers is looking to get a little bit of revenge. Matt, if they put up 74, I'm going to say I don't think Poland has the offensive firepower to match that. But no one has scored that much against Poland in a long time. They play extremely good defense.
So, yeah, I mean, Poland, they're just going to have to keep up on that defense, and Struthers just trying to find ways to deviate from their good defense, get little floater passes in there, maybe try and get if they get a big, good, good girl that's down in the paint that can work around the rim, feed her the ball that she can go to work, kind of like the one girl for Waterloo, like she just got fed the ball continuously when I call their game. Find somebody like that to just drive into the lane and get buckets. Just attack.
And the last time Struthers,
the biggest thing that I have seen is that if you let the other team know that you are scared, they're gonna jump on you. You gotta control the fear. You control it and just lash it out. That's the best thing.
Poland has never not won an NE8 championship since the conference's conception. So this would be a big win for Struthers. Struthers has never won it, and just 1 year Poland shared it. So Poland has never been on the top. They shared it once, and this would be a big win for Struthers. It would give them a driver's seat for their first ever NE8 championship if they're able to win on Monday at home. Last time they played, it was Faye Stellato that led them with the 3-point shot. Last night she had 3 threes, but she's going to have to shoot the lights out again to beat Poland. They beat Poland last year in the field house with a Faye Stellato 3 at the buzzer. So we'll have to see how the Wildcats do this year at home against Poland, needing a win to get into first place of the NE8.
Yes, absolutely. And, like you said, Poland's never not won. What would you say? Never not won? So
they've never not won the NE8. So they've never had a season where they weren't on top. They shared once, but they've never been out of first place.
So definitely the fear is going to be with Struthers. It's just the way you control it and use it to your advantage. That's the only way, you know they're good, and you just gotta just keep up with them. Find ways. Just find ways. There are ways. Nothing is impossible. So
Strother 74 would have been the offensive high point of last night, but Hoban scored 75 against Akron Ellet in the 75-51 win on senior night for the Knights. I was down there, Matt. I was telling you before the show. It's a little bit a different level of basketball when you go do a Hoban game. I think DJ and Richie got that on Tuesday with the boys' side. They just play a little bit faster. They have a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more basketball spread out talent. They went fast, man. They're just a fast team. They were running some offensive sets that gave Ellen a lot of problems. Some 1-4 high looks with Riley Bennett at the high post. She had to be 5'10", but she could shoot threes like it was nothing. And then she could get in the paint and rebound. I mean, you have a player like that. Good luck guarding her. She hit 4 threes and scored 22 points for the Knights. They're really good. They're a really good basketball team.
yes, they are.
And we were talking how excited we are just to sign Ellen from your perspective. I mean, to sign Hoban from your perspective. I mean, we haven't been able to talk to you about it. Me and Ty have been able to cheer about it. DJ's been able to cheer about it. What do you think when last Thursday when you saw the social media posts come up and say
last
Hoban's a
Thursday
YSN school?
See, last Thursday I was pretty sure I was on the bus, on the Badger bus or something like that. I knew I was doing something for YSN, and when I saw it, I'm like, I was just kind of scrolling randomly on the bus, and I just see it. Oh, Hoban. I'm like, oh, what Hoban do now? They're good. What they do now? What they accomplish? And then when I went past, I'm like, wait, what? Why is this on my feed? Now I'm gonna scroll back up and I see YSN. I'm like, what?
What?
And I was just happy right away. I'm like, all right, we signed Hoban. That's a pretty good team to sign. It's it's like signing it's like signing at like Mass on Washington or St. Vincent
Right.
St. Mary's. Like I just like the week before when I called Ursuline versus St. Vincent St. Mary's, and I'm just watching them. I'm like, man, just imagine if we would sign St. Vincent St. Mary, a big school like this. The teams they play, they play. I mean, the boys play. LeBron's.
They play out in
team.
Vegas.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that would be cool. If somebody would call that, they get to go out there and call that if they would make that happen. And I'm like, that would be sweet if we get a big team like that. And Hoban's pretty close to that. So I was just thinking about it, like, what if we sign a big team like that? And then we do. So
I remember last year, Matt, when St. V's came into Cheney. Their boys came into Cheney, and Jamie and Anthony Romo got to call the game. But the game before that, St. Vincent St. Mary was playing in the Staples Center.
Yeah.
So they went from the Staples Center in LA to Cheney. It was just, it's like, can you imagine? But Hoban travels a lot too.
Yeah.
I mean, these girls have been to Kentucky so far this season. They've played in Columbus a couple of times. They played in the Classic in the Country, which is the best girls event in the state of Ohio, held by Berlin Highland. So yeah, these Hoban girls and the boys team, they both get around and play quality opponents all across the state of Ohio and really across the state of the country.
Yes, they do, and it's just amazing. It's a great opportunity for YSN to sign them because we're gonna need people to go to those events. So those are some big events that you just named. Just imagine what we're already going to we already just came back from Tampa Bay. I know DJ was there now. Next week we're going to Vegas.
Going to Vegas.
But yeah, too bad we didn't get the call. I'd go to Vegas.
Keep that company card away from Ty.
Yeah.
You'll lose it all in the casino, and we're gonna be out of money.
Yeah.
Ty, what'd you do?
Yeah. So that'll be something. Ty in Vegas. Ugh. But it's just great that we're getting more big teams like this. It's a great opportunity for us, not only for them, but for us too, because everybody loves to watch Hoban. So everybody's gonna come and watch them, through us. So it's great that we got them on, and we just got more big things coming for
It's almost a
Ysn.
cheat
So,
code because we're gonna have a good
yeah,
chance
it's a cheat
to be
code.
in the state championship
For like
every year.
every season, well, baseball, football, basketball, volleyball, soccer.
I was like, my first thought when
If
they
they
were
get a
calling the boys
lacrosse
game.
team, we'll be
Oh
in the
yeah,
state for lacrosse probably. I don't
my
know if they
first
have
thought
lacrosse.
was when they were calling that boys game and I heard the name, I was like, wait a minute, we just signed Mr. Football because they had Mr. Football this year in the
Yeah,
state of Ohio, and he plays for their
gonna be
basketball
sweet.
team, Sperling. So I was like,
Yeah,
wait a minute, we just signed Mr. Football.
yeah, yeah,
Oh man, and that team went to the state championship last year in football. So
yeah.
unfortunately, they couldn't win it. But
I mean, they were there, so
the
that's
girls team that I
something.
covered last night, they've won 3 straight district championships, and they went to the Final Four 2 years ago. So they're 1 year removed from a trip to the Final Four in Dayton. We'll see if they'll be able to do it this year. They have the talent. They have the talent to do it. I'll tell you that much.
They
I
sure
know
do.
D1 is a trip in girls basketball and boys basketball, but they definitely have the talent to do it. We were talking about Poland and their matchup with Struthers. They got the win to set it up last night, 39-27. They were able to beat Jefferson. Matt, how about this? A combined 2 points scored in the fourth quarter by both teams.
What was this game again? I think I
Poland and
remember.
Jefferson. Poland
Yeah,
girls
that's
and
right.
Jefferson.
That's right. What was the final score for that?
39-27. So it was 37-27 after 3. Poland shut out Jefferson. Jefferson's defense shut out Poland. Didn't shut them out, but held them to 2 points.
Oh, jeez. This is the score. This is the update I got. That was a score of 4-2 or something after one.
Yeah. No,
Is that
that
what I
was
got?
what was that was I think that was Wednesday, right? Or Tuesday. That was that
What was
last
that?
night? Because oh
I forget. I get
geez,
so many updates.
I know. Because I remember seeing it, and
When I
it
get
was the Salem Arlington game. Salem
that's right.
Arlington was 4-2 after one quarter on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
that's right.
I
That's
remember
right.
because someone in our group chat was like, "We had a softball game."
Yeah, I remember that. That was so funny. But there's
Uh,
so many games. I'm just like, when was
I
that?
know.
Yeah.
But talking about that, I mean, Salem Arlington, I talked about it a lot yesterday, but those are 2 really good basketball teams going at
Mhm.
it. And Salem hadn't beaten Arlington in the last 3 games, so they had a 3-game losing streak to the Dukes. Finally got that
Mhm.
monkey off their back, and that's going to make this weekend really, really interesting because that bracket's going to come out, and the seedings are going to come out on Saturday. Brackets come out on Sunday. Salem's going to have to make the choice. Probably. This is my guess. I said yesterday, I think they're going to be the 3 seed behind Canfield and Marlington in the district. That's not official, just my guess. But if that
Marlington,
happens,
another great team.
Salem will have to make the decision. Do I want to go into Marlington's district or do I want to go into Canfield's district? And they just
Mhm.
beat Marlington, but they're also, 1-2 in their last 3 against the Dukes. And then they've beaten Canfield a lot. They've had Canfield's number. So it'll be interesting. Do you want to push the envelope and keeps going against Canfield and hoping that you can keep your dominance against them? Or do you go into a little bit more familiar opponent that has kind of had your number, but you just proved you could beat? That's going to be a really interesting decision for Salem if it works out that way this weekend.
Yes, yes, it is. Salem, you talked about Marlington. Marlington, another great team. And I mean, Marlington doesn't get to celebrate a lot with their athletics. I know that a little bit. So it's great that they get to celebrate this. So
On their girls' side, it's been
on
like
the girls' side,
hail to
yeah,
Marlington because their
yeah.
volleyball program on the
Oh,
EBC.
and I know a little bit about their volleyball and I have some inside sources that went to Marlington.
Their
So
their basketball team's still in
yeah.
first. Now it's just going to be a tie for first if they both are able to win out. And their softball team's coming off an EBC championship too. So they've won they won basketball last year. They
The
won
Duke.
volleyball last year too. So they have volleyball, basketball, softball, volleyball this year. Unless something crazy happens, they'll have at least a share of basketball this year. They might have
Mhm.
6 straight EBC championships throughout the sports seasons.
Yes.
It's because they have really good female athletes at Marlington right now, and a lot of them
They sure
aren't
do.
seniors either. A lot of them
Nope.
aren't seniors, especially Chelsea Evanich, who is the biggest name in Marlington right now, not a senior. Watch
It's
out
gonna be
for her
sweet.
for the rest of this basketball season and in softball season as well.
Oh yeah,
Champions celebrated.
softball season should be great.
Can't wait.
Actually, I don't want to throw her under the bus or bring her up too much, but my girlfriend went to Marlington, and her younger sister is on the softball team,
There
so
you go.
that'll be something to see.
You
So
can't root
that's
for
where I
them. They're
get
not a
my
YSN school
information.
yet. You can't root
Huh?
for them because they're not a YSN school yet. So
No,
sorry about
no,
that.
yeah.
You're gonna have to keep
But
secret.
I know a little bit about them because
Yeah.
I hear about them a lot because she plays. So it's
They're
I
good.
hear
They're
about Marlington.
really good.
Yeah.
They're a good softball team too. We'll see
Yes.
them, I'm sure, down the line. 52-20, champion celebrates senior night with a win over Camel. The Flashes have had a tough year, injury plagued. They're starting to get healthy. I've said it before. They're starting to get a little bit healthy as the season goes on. They're starting to get some of their players back. So nice to see them get a win last night, 52-20 over Camel. Close one with Mooney and East as Mooney gets to win 40-38 over the Bears. I feel like every time these two teams play in the Steel Valley Conference, it's close. These two girls teams are really scrappy. They know each other so well, and it always comes down to the wire between them.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So
And it's a
I
big
like
win
those
for Mooney.
close matchups. Yeah. Yeah.
Mooney needed to win.
Yeah.
This is the most surprising final from last night, Matt, because Western Reserve was trying to make a little bit of a run at Springfield. They had Springfield next, but the old trap game curse hit them because they did not give Middle Ridge the respect they deserve, and Middle Ridge came up and beat Western Reserve 50-48, which not mathematically, but really lowers their chances to get a MVAC Scarlet Tier championship this year.
Yeah.
Big Middle Ridge.
Mineral Ridge, I mean, a lot better than what their record is, 9-9.
Yeah,
They've had
especially
some
when you consider they
injuries.
had 2 wins last year, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've had injuries, and this year I really like what their coach has done. What's her name? Amy Harrison, Coach Harrison, I believe.
Yep, you got it.
She's done a great job there. She knows a little bit about basketball. She's on the big 1,000-point score banner that's hanging in the Ridge Gym. So she's got some great knowledge to put in this game, and they're just going to keep getting better and better every year. I like the players that they have. I mean, Ava Hewlett is a very significant player on that team, and a couple other players. I mean, I forget a couple of their names. I'm on their roster.
Yeah, I'll help you out, and I'll give you the stats from last
Olivia
night.
Booth is
Yeah.
good.
She's
So
good.
go ahead.
She's
Go
a
give me a
senior.
stat.
All right,
Yep.
Ava
Go
Hewlett
ahead,
had
give me a
18
stat.
points. Ava Hewlett had 18
Hewlett.
points for him, and then Olivia Booth had 14.
Olivia Booth. Booth
There
and
you go.
Hewlett are the two, and I covered them in volleyball too, and it just
Oh,
they're great at
they're a good volleyball
Hewlett's
team.
probably one of the best volleyball players I've seen.
And then
And
they
I
have
know
Samantha Aulette setting, who is
Samantha
one sitter
Aulette
of the
is
year.
good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um,
I know this is my first year calling volleyball, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I know a good player when I see.
you really
him. Like,
enjoyed it though, right? Like you got the
oh God,
volleyball.
it's awesome! I can't wait to do it again. Call him. Hannah Betts with Badger volleyball. She was great with that, and then going over and calling Mineral Ridge, and then I actually called Mineral Ridge versus Lakeview, and Lakeview has a great volleyball team. So that was something to see.
Gianna Gilbert also had 9 for Middle Ridge last night. She's a good young player as a freshman. That Middle Ridge 8th grade team went undefeated last year, and you can tell by their freshman class that they're bringing up a lot of talent for the Rams in years to come. But Olivia Booth is, I believe, the only senior on the team, so they're losing her, which is a big piece. But everyone else coming back next year as well. No, Gianna Paris is a senior too. I'm sorry.
Okay. Gianna
transferred from Western Reserve this year. So
yes, yeah.
We have another final. It was Bristol getting the best of. Hold on, Bristol getting the best of Wyndham, 51-29. The final score there, and I believe that's the final from last night. You can find all the recaps and stories and post game interviews. Matt, you had a couple of post game interviews with the Badger girls. You can find those with some other ones on our YouTube page and our website, ysnlive.com. Make sure to check all those out. You do a great job with your post game stories.
Thank you.
And interviews. And I was so happy that we finally got some players last night on the girls' side.
Yeah. I'll tell you about that here. We got a little bit more time to kill.
Yeah, we do.
I haven't interviewed girls players all year, and
You were
I'm like,
telling me like
well,
they just kind of
and I'm
been kind
like,
of reserved about it, but they opened up last
they're a
night.
little shy, Well, I've tried to get Grex to come out, and I finally did. I'm like, I've been talking her up about it. She always picks on me. I feel like I got more comfortable with her, so it was easier last night to do it. And she answered all my questions great. I
Oh
don't think
yeah, it
she
was a
ever
great
said
post game interview.
once. Yeah, like it was amazing. And I even listened to her interview with the other news guy that was there, and he asked a lot more tougher questions than I did. I asked maybe 2-3 questions. I'm not trying to get a whole
Right.
5-minute interview, just maybe a minute or so. And I try to ask the key questions. This guy was asking her hard questions. And I'm
He's
just like,
probably a
man,
newspaper guy that wants to put
yeah,
like a big
yeah,
quote into the story.
yeah, yeah. He's writing a full story.
Right.
I read, a 50-word little tidbit on what
One
happened.
of the benefits of having the video
yeah.
thing, you don't need the big.
No. So she answered his questions great too. And,
Right. It's
hopefully in the
always
coming weeks, I'll
sometimes the
get more
players.
players.
Sometimes the players that say they're real nervous, then you do the interview and they're like, "I don't think you were nervous at all. You didn't show it."
I interview the boys all the time.
Right.
I'm like, get out here. You're getting an interview. Let's go. I interviewed freshman Tyler McWilliams the other day, and Upshire put Bryce Gross in there with him to kind of make him feel a little bit
You
more
get in there.
comfortable. Yeah, to kind of take the weight off the whole, so it's not squared on him, So he did all right. It was all right.
Oh, he did great.
Yeah.
Everyone does great.
Probably one of the
with these
best
things.
interviews I've ever had, and I think DJ can agree with me, is Cole Burnett. Easy's got an interview. He's like, Matt, can I come onto the game? And yesterday I'm like, oh, we'll see. It's like, this is a huge game. So I was like, yeah, maybe a little bit. And I did get him on one game, and I brought maybe a future employer who there was this 8th grade kid who came on to the Cleveland game with me, and all he ever talks about, he's like, Matt, I want to be a broadcaster. I want to do this stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'll keep that in mind. So he did good on the air in Cleveland too. Cody Davidson is his name. Good kid. He'll be playing next year too. So it's nice to be like, hey, can I come on there? I'm interested in this stuff. Like, we're not just there to cover the game and leave. Like I especially with the teams that I grew up. Like, I grew up with Badger. I went to Badger. I know half these kids, so it's nice to build a relationship with them, basically. So like, it's nice to be like, hey, I'll come on. So it's nice at times.
You have killed it all season in Badger, and I know from his post that Josh Upshire and Coach Turnage are both very thankful of the stuff that you do and the extra work that you put into that really isn't required. Like, we don't require our announcers to do post-game interviews, and you're able to do that on your own. And you write the stories, which helps me out a lot, which I appreciate as well.
Yeah,
you do a great job covering Badger and all the other teams that you're able to cover when Badger is on the road as well.
If I'm not going on the road with them,
I know, if you're not on the road
I
with
am
them.
Today.
Usually you are.
Yeah, usually I am.
Let's go over the games that are going to be on the network tonight real quick before we get out of here, Matt. 7 o'clock is when your games start, and it'll be Alliance at West Branch. Michael Janaki will have the call for that. West Branch with a big win last time out, and they'll try to keep that going. Alliance is leading the EBC, so it'll be a tough one.
Okay, yeah, Alliance and West Branch. Yeah, two big rivals. I mean, they're close to each other too, so that'll be a good game. So,
big one in the AAC as Fitch goes to Canfield. Richie Giuliano will have the call for you there at 7 o'clock. Matt, you're next on tap, 7 o'clock. Badger at Ashtabula St. John.
Yep.
You'll be there for that one in the Heralds.
Yep.
Boardman goes to Howland. Noah Ricks will be on the call at 7 o'clock. Champion at Garrettsville Garfield. That school.
I want to put a shout out here real quick. Noah Ricks has been calling some great games. I've listened to some of his Howland calls. I've done Champion and he's done Champion. So I listen to his games too before I do Champion, just to kind of get a little bit of a feel. Like, all right, I know, I figure I got Champion coming, and he does a great job too. So hats off to Noah Ricks, man. Did a
He
great
does.
job.
I mean, he's kind of he's Howland's guy, really. He's what you are to Badger for Howland. I mean, he's right in there with the thick of it. He travels with them sometimes. He does a good job
Yeah,
covering the Tigers.
yeah,
We'll
he
continue
sure
with the
does.
schedule tonight. Ty Bartell now making the trip to Hoban, and he'll be the third member of our team to go down to Archbishop Hoban and get his taste of the Knights. Cleveland Central Catholic comes to town for the Hoban boys tonight at 7 o'clock. Columbiana travels to Valley Christian. Hop will have that one for you. 7 o'clock start time there. Southern hosts East Palestine. Tim Figley on the call for that one. 7 o'clock. Wyndham School has you covered for them as they will host Fairport Harding. Gerard goes
Oh
to
wow.
Lakeview. Sam has you covered there. Jefferson goes to South Range and a big one on the boys' side of the NE8. I'll be on the call there from the Thriller Dome. We have
Sweet.
Latonia traveling to Lisbon. It'll be Rick Daly on the call. Ursuline hosting Massillon, Washington. DJ
Rick
Yoakley
Daly,
going to
man,
Youngstown
what a
for that one.
legend.
He's a legend, man.
What
He's
game is
going
that?
he's going to Ursuline hosting
Oh,
Massillon, Washington.
oh wow,
We
that'd
have
be
Niles
great.
going to
That'd be a great game.
Niles going to Poland. Richmond Heights will go to Edgewood. Sam Torres will have the call for that one. Springfield at Lowville. Eric Hughes
Edgewood and
there for the
Richmond Heights.
Rockets. Yeah. Richmond Heights is one of the best
I
teams in
mean,
Division
Richmond
4,
Heights
period.
is a team I'd love to see. Oh my gosh, yes, and if Badger would meet up with them, I'm just gonna be just shaking like, oh god, because they almost have like the team. We lost to St. Thomas Aquinas last year,
Right.
and Aquinas went all the way and ended up losing to Richmond Heights.
Well, a lot
We
of
won it
people
all.
lose the Richmond
So I
Heights.
always say like, hey, we lost to the team that lost to the team that won state.
Right.
So it's just Richmond Heights. It's but it should be great.
They'll be at Edgewood. Sam Torres will have the call. Struthers will be at Hubbard tonight. David Williams has the call for you there. That Hubbard Eagles team making a turnaround in the NE8. They've had a couple of big wins in the last couple of weeks. So after a tough start, the Eagles flying high a little bit. They'll host Struthers. David Williams on the call again. Wellsville will be at United at 7 o'clock. Chris Sigler will have the call for you from the Eagles Nest. And then last game on the network tonight, it'll be Crestview at Brookfield. Matt Marr and Jordan will have the call for you there. Some games that are happening that won't be on the network. Camel will be at LeBray at 7. Connaughton Valley travels to Edison. McDonald goes to Jackson Milton. Waterloo goes to Sebring. And then Western Reserve goes to Middle Ridge. Let's go ahead and go over the games tomorrow real quick before we get out of here, too, since we won't have a show tomorrow. Girls basketball, your Badger Braves will travel to Niles. Ian O'Brien will have the call from the Dragon's Den there. Howland will be at West Branch. Michael Janaki has the call for you there. I'll be at Ursuline as Salem comes to town at 2:30. Boardman will be at Canfield. Richie Giuliano has the call for you there at 7 o'clock. Latonia will be at Heartland Christian. Mark Franken will have the call at 5:30. And then Edgewood hosts Lakeside tomorrow as well at 6:30. On the boys' side, we will have Alliance at Louisville. Bob Burrick will have the call. South Range travels to Cheney. It'll be Jamie Thompson there. Lakeview goes to Warren JFK. Our Lakeview guy will make the trip with the Bulldogs. Sam has you covered there. Latonia at Heartland Christian will have a boys-girls doubleheader. So after the girls are done at 5:30, Mark Franken will be there for the boys at roughly 7 o'clock. And then we have hockey on the network tomorrow as Twinsburg will play Orange, and the school will have you covered for that at 6:45. Some other games that are happening tomorrow on the boys' side, Liberty will play Newton Falls at Lordstown. Wellsville will go to Southern, and Harding goes to Mooney. So what are your final thoughts on that schedule ahead for the last 2 days?
There should be some jam-packed games, even tomorrow. I'm going to try and get on to some Saturday games. I had something pop up, or I was going to be on a Saturday game tomorrow, but I'm going to try and get to some Saturday games as well. If I didn't have obligations that I have to attend to, I would love to go down and call Niles with Brian Niles Badger. That should be something tomorrow.
Right.
But it should be some good games though.
We hope so. You can find all of them on ysnlive.com/live is where you can find all the games. This has been Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin. Now, Matt, thank you for coming on, and thank everyone there for listening. We'll see you on Monday from 1 to 2. We'll have girls basketball brackets. We'll talk about that on Monday, and we'll see where everyone falls as it's tournament time in YSN country. 1 to 2 on Monday. Thanks for tuning in.